Hi everyone, Megan here from Romance by the Book with the lovely Marielle. And this is week two for Of Fate and Fire by Amanda Bouchet.
We are reading chapters 3 to 6. And I guess in the first part, basically we had two characters who are very clear that they are confused about what's going on. One
Yes,
of them is in a new world, the other one has had their understanding of the world kind of flippity flopped.
yes,
So so far they've come into contact with each other and we got to figure out
yes.
where they go from here.
So we pick up at they have found a hotel. Piers is obsessed with the shower, which, as you would be as a person who came from where he came from and had never seen such a thing in your life. Um,
Yeah. He
and
keeps
so
thinking about how his sisters would love it.
yeah,
And also the way he describes some of the stuff is almost like, oh, we would be like almost like that they would be in there together, like doing like showering and doing things, magical things inside this wonderful room. He's like, you
yeah,
can take the steam out. You can like everything is great. And
yes,
I
he
can't
loves
blame
it.
him. I also love a shower,
Yes,
although maybe not as
definitely.
hot as his.
So they're lying low while they come up with a plan. Um, but Sophie wants a croissant, so they go find a cafe, which he finds delicious but not filling in the least. He needs meat.
And it's like butter and air. And I'm like, that's a perfect croissant. I don't understand what your problem is.
And he likes it, but it's not enough. He needs meat. And it's snowing outside, which he finds fascinating. He said he's only seen it once before, and it wasn't the kind that like stays in blankets things. It just sort of like disappeared as it fell. Um,
He also asked, like, are we in the cold lands? Like he's trying to figure out exactly where they are.
yeah,
Um, because in his world, like this is, he's in a different place. He knows he
yeah,
is, but he doesn't know if he's still like on his world or if he's
right.
somewhere else entirely. And so he's realizing that maybe he's in Athena's world, like her favorite world. Um,
Yes, which was called Attica, which I guess was an actual region like right in the center of Greece at one point.
near
Like
Athens, yeah.
um and and he thinks that must be what it is because he knows that Attica had lost its magic. That's like the one thing that he really knows about it is that they like stopped
There's no magic
remembering
there.
to worship her and they lost their magic. Um and so Sophie tells him a little bit about the shard, what she knows about it, and he thinks that it might be the same type of piece of an Olympian glacier that's in his sister-in-law Kat's necklace that she wears. It helps like enhance her powers. And he doesn't think she
If she's
even,
depleted, it helps her like regain her power faster, but also if she's at like full strength, it also enhances. So
and it was
he's
like
like, maybe
Zeus's thunderbolt hit this piece of glacier, and that's like where this came from, he thinks. And he had sort of researched it, but he didn't even get a chance to tell Kat about that, so he doesn't know if Kat even knows how much that necklace is like affecting her magic or whatever. Um, but he is shocked that it would hold power here when clearly there's no magic here anymore. He's like, it must be really
an
powerful.
intense magic that exists, but if there is no magic in this world, so he's like, clearly there's got to be some remnants.
Yeah,
Because he says that the actual shard like would retain its power because power like that wouldn't just disappear,
disappear. Yeah,
but it would need to latch on to magic that's in the world. And
yeah,
so he explains to Sophie how, like, in his world, most people don't have magic, but there are people who
who
do.
do. Yeah,
And he's like, so
you're one of those people who
maybe
do, or you would
you
have
do.
been.
And she's just like, no,
Yeah.
not a thing.
And
I'm
so
the
he
teacher.
promises that they'll try to find a way to get this back to Athena. He's going to help her. And they're also both starting to feel like the fates or the gods have put them in each other's paths. So they take a detour by Rockefeller Center because it's Christmas and she wants him to see the tree and she wants to see it too since she's there. Um,
She's very
And
like it's they haven't known each other long, but she is like, I am pretty sure this is right up his alley. Like this
yeah.
is the kind of thing he would really like.
And she sort of
And so
compares it
she
to magic in this world, like the closest to magical like that you can find in this world, basically.
yeah.
Um, and so they go there and they're enjoying like a moment together and they're staring at the tree and she's thinking that she's gonna like jump him when they get back to the hotel because she's like, I've never done this before, but I'm like super into him and like yeah, this is it's going down for real. And so she's like thinking all this and then she sees a red laser light on her chest and she's like, oh shit.
Mhm.
So she knows that it was stupid for them to even leave the hotel and that she, she's brought this on herself, basically. It's just like we could have just got room service. Like I was stupid. Um,
It's interestingly too because she is a teacher and she was like, I mean, it would have been real expensive. I don't know that this would have, like she's
yeah.
thinking like logistically it might have sucked, but at least I wouldn't be getting killed.
Yeah. And so
Excuse me.
somebody points a knife at her back and demands the shard. Pierce like breaks the guy's arm and like tosses him like into the crowd. And of course everybody's like freaking out. Um,
Have they are very like comfy with each other really early because he like even as they're walking like she puts her arm around his like through his arm through
yeah.
his elbow and then he also like has his arm up so when that guy with the knife comes he just like slams his arm down
Yeah.
and he
And
does
then
toss
and the
him.
guy is like, "What the hell?" Because he was clearly not expecting that, and then he just like tosses him. Um,
He grabs his arm and like squeezes until something cracks, and I'm like, "Oh goodness!" And then he like like with that broken arm, like slings him. I'm like, "How strong is Pierce
yeah, like
exactly?"
very clearly. And so they as he's turning back around from doing this, he gets shot in the shoulder by the light that had previously been on her. And so he ducks down. They start running. They make it back to the hotel. She insists on cleaning up his
And
wound.
she is like, "You are wounded," and he's just like, "I mean, a little, but it's fine."
Right.
And
Well, she's
then
like, I don't know
she's
if I can dig a bullet out of your arm. And he's like, oh, I saw it hit the ground. It's not in my arm. And she's like, okay, that's good, I guess.
I mean, she's like, we should go to the hospital. And he's like, do they have meat there? Like, can I get dinner?
Is that a
She's just like,
restaurant?
I mean,
Yeah.
the food in a hospital is not good. And he's like, so let's avoid that then. Like,
Yeah.
let's not.
No, he's like, no. And so they go back to the hotel and she patches him up and they kiss and it's pretty hot, but there's a siren passing by outside that kind of like, shakes them back to reality and back to what they need to be doing, basically. And so she takes him to look at the shard and he tells her about oh yeah, about the magic and how he thinks that it might have the magic and that's so they test it out. She like leaves to see if it glows for him and it doesn't. And he's like, "See, I told you. Like it's you." And she still doesn't really want to like believe
Funny
that, but
because he's very like I am for sure not magical. Like I
right.
am very this was in the Kingmaker Chronicles like original series
Yes.
where the people who didn't have magic were called hoi polloi, which is actually a word that is used in our world as well for just like regular people.
Yeah.
It's like the masses. And so he's like, I am hoi polloi, but you and she's just like, what?
Magoi, I think is what it yeah, the magic people.
And she's like, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
he
Certain.
is certain
Yes.
already. He's like, Kat also has a thing like that, and
Yeah.
she's like almost a goddess in our world, and she's just like, I don't know
He's
how I
like,
feel
I
about
don't
this.
know. And so yeah, they do test it and she's like, "Ugh, fine." And Pierce this whole time as things are happening, he knows that he's not remembering something important and whatever it is going to help them. So he's frustrated that he's not like remembering
He
it.
can't remember. But he
Um,
also like so he's like, well, he's like, maybe we should go to Attica. Maybe we need to go. And she's like, oh gosh, like I can't buy tickets to Greece at Christmas last minute. Like this is not
no, like I'll be
like
broke. Yeah.
so they decide to go to museum instead.
Yeah, so well, and while he's also thinking about what he's done, he realizes it must be something terrible because he has like a bad feeling about the thing that he can't remember and he
Yeah.
is worried. Um, but uh but Sophie and him can't seem to like keep their hands off of each other. Um, and so they
Felt that
do,
like it's very like clear that her like past experiences and even from the prologue, it's like we don't pick, we just don't. She and her sister apparently like are not good at picking their people,
yeah,
um, relationship wise, and she's just like never really had like it's like even very
like
like
good
hot
sex.
sexy times
Yeah.
or anything. Like she's kind of like meh about it
Yes,
all,
very much
except
so.
with him she's not, so she's very like I don't know, like
Right,
it's
like let's take advantage of this while we've got it. So they do have sex. After she explains condoms to him, which was kind of a funny like moment when they're like getting ready to do
well
it.
she's like not good at putting it on him, and so he's like I mean
He's
I
like,
got
I think I
this, it's
got
like
this.
a,
And afterwards she orders him some room service. He's like, with meat. And she's like, yes, okay.
like do we have some lamb, do we have like he's so hungry, poor guy.
So that is the end of chapter 6. Things are obviously afoot, and we will figure out everything about this shard in our last section next week. So we'll see you then.
See you there.